No, don't do it!
Alright class, welcome back to FPL School by your boy, Bacon Boy. And this is episode 6, blank and double game weeks. Now, we're getting into the proper juicy, exciting bits of FPL here in FPL School. But for all of those cheeky fellas out there that don't know what blank and double game weeks mean, don't worry, I got you covered. Blank game week. This is when at least one team does not have a game in a game week. So let's say we have a normal game week with a normal 10 games. If one of them is cancelled / moved, this is now a blank game week. Blank game weeks can be in all shapes and sizes, but we'll go through how big they usually are later. Double game week. This is when at least one team has 2 games in a game week. So let's say we have our normal game week of 10 games. If one from another week gets moved to this week, this is now a double game week, as at least one team is doubling with 2 games. But why do these happen? Blanks and double game weeks can and do happen for a bunch of different reasons. So last season, we had the most amount of doubles and blanks all throughout, but that was mainly due to the postponements from COVID. But in a normal season without any spicy viruses going around, they usually happen when games clash with another tournament, such as later on in the season with the FA Cup semi-finals and final, and also the Club World Cup if a Premier League team gets to that too. When do these happen? Due to any type of postponement maybe causing a blank or double, technically they can happen at any point in the season. But the planned blanks and doubles are usually around game week 17 to 18, game week 30 and also game week 36ish. These can vary but are usually based on when those specific tournaments we just mentioned are planned to take place. But we usually find out a few weeks in advance when a new blank or double is about to happen, so it doesn't matter too much. But there is an FPL planning expert called Ben Krellin on Twitter who works these sort of things out way early, way in advance, and already has some sort of idea when the blanks or doubles will happen this year, even though the season hasn't started. Absolute madness, so definitely go follow him if you want more info on that. Why do we care? Blank game weeks, and especially double game weeks, are one of the best and spiciest moments in FPL. Where in blank game weeks, you could score as low as 30 points, and have one of the highest points out of anyone in the world. So it's just like, what? And in double game weeks, you could actually get up to 200 points and still not be one of the highest scoring players in the world. Absolute madness. So blank game weeks are not very good, but are the only reason we have double game weeks. Now the reason you can score big boy points in double game weeks is quite simple actually, but let's go through that a little bit here. Double game week equals all the points. Now the reason is almost guaranteed you'll score big boy points in most double game weeks, especially in the big ones anyway, is because players are playing more games. More games equals more potential of points. So let's say you have a normal game week. All 11 of your players play. You get 2 clean sheets in defence, 2 goals in midfield and 2 goals in the attack. The game week's ended and you've come out with just over 50 points. Well, hey, a decent week, not too bad. But then, when you look at a double game week, you manage to transfer in a full squad of players with the double. All 11 of your players have 2 games each. And guess what? Boom! 5 clean sheets in your defence, 8 goals in midfield, and 5 goals up front. Easy 100 pointer with all the appearances, all the bonus, and all the extra stuff going on. Hey! Wait, what's that? You captained the midfielder who scored a hat-trick and got all of the points as well? What? So that is why it could be absolutely amazing. But most importantly, double game weeks are the best time to use your chips. Like imagine you had a full bench of double fixtures on your bench boost, or that captain was a triple captain. Imagine how many more points you could have got. Whoa. Now I won't explain exactly what all the chips do and all that just yet, as that is actually going to be the next episode of FPL School, so make sure you check that out. Cool, yeah. But there are a bunch of different strategies to get the most out of blanks and double game weeks, which do also involve chips, so we'll go through them all now. How to navigate a blank game week. A blank game week can vary in size, depending on the reason. So we're going to split them up into 2 types just to explain it a bit easier. A small blank and a big blank. We are going to say that a small blank game week is when only 1 to 2 games have been cancelled or moved. I should clarify that really. So in this example, there's still at least 8 games going on, 16 teams playing. So unless you have somehow managed to triple up on the 2 teams that are actually missing out, you should / probably will be able to field all 11 players, or at least be close to with a few transfers anyway. So the answer on how to navigate A small blank game week is really simple. Just bench the players that are not playing. Yeah, that's all really. That's all you have to do. Or you could even sell them the week they are blanking, or maybe even a few weeks before if you want to have the players in anyway. So it's not too big of a problem. But where the big boy problem is the big blank game week. The big blank can really take its toll, not on just you, but your team as well. It could actually swallow you up and cause misery forever. So how do we deal with it? Let's say a big blank game week is when 4 to 6 games have been moved. So there are still 4 to 6 games going on, but a maximum of 12 teams play in. And unless by some magical stroke of chance, you probably haven't quite got enough players to play a full team here. Even if you planned for weeks and you knew what was going to come up, sometimes you just don't have enough transfers to do it without hits, or sometimes you just don't want to transfer out players because they might have good fixtures before, you know? So what do you do? Do you just let only your 6 players play and take it on the chin? Or do you do something else? Where I present to you FPL Chips. Now again, chip strategies, uses, definitions and all of that stuff, another episode of FPL School. This is more about how to go for the blanks and doubles. Blank Game Week free hit. Using the free hit chip allows you to have a brand new team just for 1 week, and then go back to your team straight after that. Which almost kinda sounds like the perfect thing you might need for a blank game week, right? As you don't want to be transferring out your best players because they blank, right? But you also want a team for the blank game week, so free hit could be perfect. Now the problem with using the free hit in the blank game week though, is that you might actually only gain a profit of around 20 to 30 points, as not only will there be less fixtures to look at, but also there's going to be less choices and players going around as everyone's getting the same. But that's not to say it won't be worth it though. Blank game week wildcard. Using a wildcard just before, during or after a blank game week might be the best move for you depending on your team. You might realise a couple of weeks before the blank game week, you can actually use enough transfers to get in enough players to have a full team for the blank game week way. But they might not actually be players that you want to keep after. So you can prepare your team weeks before and then wildcard straight after, getting a new set of players ready to attack a new set of fixtures. Now obviously all of these depend on the players you have, the fixtures that are missing and all of that as well. But it's good to be aware of that before we start the season, as chips can be very handy for these sorts of things, and you don't want to just be using them randomly at the start of the season when you feel like it, no. But enough of the boring blankers and the blank game weeks, get in the bin, that's the worst part. Let's move on to the actual good part, the doubles. How to get the most out of double game weeks. Sometimes we only get teased with a very small double game week, right? Which might consist of just 2 teams playing twice. So in that case, it could be a good time to get some of your chips out, oi? As let's say a big team gets a double, like a Chelsea playing 2 easy games, right? As they will actually have a double this year, as they are playing in the Club World Cup. Then a triple captain Mason Mount or something like that could actually be the very saucy thing to get you all of the points in that. If it is just a small double with only 1 or 2 extra fixtures though, unless they're coincidentally just for the big teams that you own all the players from as well, it's probably not worth a wildcard free hit or bench boost. Triple captain is probably the only one you should look at, unless your team is in a right mess and you need this as an excuse to actually fix it. But now, the main course, the big boy, the big double game week. Let's class a big double game week as having 12 plus games in a game week. So at least 4 teams are double in. Now that is saucy. Usually there's a lot more than that as well. But how do we get all of the points here? Wildcard. Where this could be the perfect time to wildcard into the perfect team to get your team sorted so you have 11 of the best, great, sexy boys with the best fixtures in the double where you can actually get all the points. Now the problem with that is you might actually be getting in players that don't have good fixtures after, or ones that are actually not good options. You're just kind of looking at the double, you're like, yeah, he has 2 good fixtures, I'll get him in. And then he ends up being terrible, and your team ends up being terrible, an absolute mess. And you actually might end up with less points overall in the next few weeks anyway. So maybe a wildcard might not be it, but again, depends on the players. Free hit! Or instead of potentially messing up your team, you could use a free hit. Get in the very best players without having that worry about if they'll be good options after as well. I actually usually prefer using the free hit myself to attack the doubles rather than covering the blanks, just because there's more of an upside, right? There's more points to gain from doubles than to gain over your normal team in a blank. But then again, some of the other chips might work better for your specific team. Bench boost. Having all 11 players with 2 fixtures in a double game week is absolutely amazing enough, right? But imagine you managed to get in 15 players who played both games in the double. Now that's just the 30 fixtures compared to the maximum 22 if you had a full team without the bench boost. Wow. So if your team is in a good enough state and you're only a couple of transfers away, I would say it's really, really worth it and one that you should aim for, as I feel like it is the highest potential of points if you bench boost a full team of double game week players. But again, depends on how your team is looking. Triple captain. And finally, the triple captain chip. The opportunity to triple someone's points for a game week. Ooh. It's always much better to use this chip in a double game week just because not only do they have the extra fixture, it's more of a backup, right? Like in any random game, the best player could maybe not score against the worst team. But if they had 2 good games against 2 bad teams, then at least they got more of a chance, right? But I would say if it is a very, very big double game week, maybe the other trips might be more beneficial as you do get the captain anyway, right? It's only adding a few more points to your captain. But maybe, depending on your team, triple captain is the way to go. And that is that done. A few different ways you can get the most out of the big boy double game weeks and get all of the points. And that was actually all on blanks and double game weeks in FPL. One of the main important things to do well, catch out the casuals and also gain an edge over your friends. The parameters, the amount of teams and all of that will change for different doubles and blank game weeks. And there will be loads of different ways and better approaches depending on your team and scenario and depending on the type of double or blank as well. But now at least you have the basics ingrained into your brain, you're good to go, you're prepared for everything and you know things a lot of your rivals don't. Where hey. This right here is a spatula. But this right here was episode 6 of the FPL School. Wait, what did we talk about? On blanks and double game weeks. But make sure to turn up to the next class and watch the next video or you getting a bit of a spanking.
Don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now. Don't let your memes be dreams.